Right. So, D Weston, I am the credit manager for UK and Ireland for Exclusive Networks. Why do I do this? Because it is hugely challenging, entertaining, fun, annoying, patient bearing, and all of those. It's such a blend. And I've been doing credit now for, I want to say, 43 years, which is a horrific number. Laura, darling, please don't be stupid. I have been doing it for a long time, and to me, I think the evolution of credit, when I think about when I first started, and I, to be fair, I'm going to quickly waffle now, started working in Debenhams. That's where I started my working job, because when I left school, I didn't really have any plans of kind of where I was actually going with this. And I started working in Debenhams, which I loved. I absolutely loved. I worked in their haberdashery department. You met some gorgeous grandmothers, and particularly when they was buying their granddaughters their first sewing box, they wanted all the lovely little things. And I had such fun, especially with the feather boas, because they had a stack of them. And at the time when feather boas were really kind of the in thing to wear on your night out. So I had great fun, and I think it gave me a real passion for kind of working with people, how varied they were. But being a typical teenager, I wanted to go out on Friday nights, and of course I work weekends, so I decided I need to find myself an office job, which I did. And the first job I fell into was credit control. No idea what that was about at all. Absolutely no idea. But as time went on, I became kind of inquisitive, very nosy, and it really presented a real challenge because you met people from every kind of genre and what they was actually doing. So I think it gave you a fantastic foundation to how to deal with people and how demanding they were and the general public. And I'm the general public, and even though I know it could be a bit painful, but I think that's kind of how I started off in credit. But in that journey, you start to learn tenacity, tolerance, patience, ask questions, be inquisitive, as I said earlier on. You listened intently to what people actually wanted. And I think the fact that you shared or showed interest with them enabled you to probably have a much more wider, enriching engagement with people. And I think that's why I still stay in credit, because it gives you all of those lovely things.
I'm Laura Brown, so I'm the head of credit control for Saint-Gobain in the UK and Ireland. I guess why I do my job, I just love my job. I do love credit
Mm.
control. So similar to Dee, it wasn't something that I chose to do when I left school. I actually did an apprenticeship as a hairdresser. And again, similar sort of
Wow.
grounding. So working with people, yeah, and that kind of the interaction, talking, kind of like, I don't know, building the relationships with people. That's what I really enjoyed. But similar as well, my friends would go out on a Friday night, I had to work on a Saturday. I wanted an office job as well. So I thought, yeah, okay, I'm going to go get a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday in an office.
Mm.
But obviously having no experience of working in an office as well, that was really difficult to try and get a job in an office, because it was like, oh, you need to have experience, or haven't got the experience. So managed to get in with like a transport company, just working as like an admin assistant, and similarly fell into credit control. The lady that was doing it at the time, she left, and I thought, do you know what, I think I'd like to have a go at that. So kind of
Mm.
did. And the company that I was working for, it had quite a lot of age debt on the ledger as well. So just kind of doing that investigation side, unpicking the incorrect allocations, and kind of like really trying to put together like problem solving what had happened, and then chasing the debt. And then obviously then when the money came in, when you saw that value on the bank statement, the kind of just the satisfaction and the drive that I got from that was really like, oh yeah, actually I really enjoy this, I really like it. So in terms of like my skills, I guess I'm quite resourceful. So the problem solving, if I don't know the answer myself, I'm quite good at finding kind of who it is and building that network of people that can kind of help me to do that. And I guess similarly, I'm quite optimistic and quite tenacious as well. And I think that's not only within my role in credit, but also I think it's helped me and it's reflective in my career as well. So yeah, quite similar parallels to what
Very,
Dee had explained. Yeah.
very. I don't know if it's you can tell me this, Laura. I think it's this. Is there a type? No, I think you just need someone who actually can empathize, someone has to have extraordinary patience, like you. I'm intrigued when something doesn't work out right, and then you have to kind of unpick it. And I think, well, that's such a great deal of satisfaction. It's not for the glory, or or it's the fact that you've actually resolved something, and you've enabled one of your partners to actually move forward. The customer, they're happy with what you've done. Right, let's move on to the next thing. And I just think that that's what still keeps me really intrigued, because no 2 days are alike. And
Yeah.
there are times my patience is extraordinarily tested. And I don't know if that's more my colleagues rather than actually the customers, to be fair, because they could be highly demanding, can salespeople. But I do think that there has to be very much some strong leanings for people, like you said, to be very tenacious, but to
Mm.
be emphatic, to be tolerant, and to be patient, and to be willing, I think, really. And I think that's very much, I get the feel that you and I are two very similar in that regard, Laura. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I think it is important. You have to be a people person to work in
Yes,
credit. And I
yes.
think it has come so much more than just collecting debt now as well. It is all
Oh,
about kind of
huge.
building the relationships, because they're the ones that you get paid by, and they're the ones that
Mm.
that you can go to. It's the people that that you've got that
Yeah.
rapport with, rather than the ones that you just cold hard calling all
Oh,
day. So
yes.
yeah.
Couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely perfect. Yes. I think, and Laura, you may agree or disagree with me. I think in credit, I think you will have some big events that will actually occur that will actually challenge you. But I think it's everyday occurrence that strengthens you in the sense of what you're actually doing. It's the everyday challenges, Tom, to be fair. They could be very, very minor. But I think
Mm.
our ability to adapt very quickly to a situation is, for us, I think, more important than delivering something big and huge. Every day we will get challenges, and it's either by my colleagues because they want something, there is something particular going on, there's a demand of the vendor, or it's actually simply down to the partner that is maybe struggling with cash flow and just wants someone just to listen and come back to this empathetic, kind of
Mm.
mode. They want to be able to explain their circumstances and then not to be criticized for it. And I think really, for me, the achievement every day is the ability to close at the end of the day, knowing that I've either helped someone or they didn't need help and they were satisfied with what we actually did. And then you get the really big events where, yes, potentially you've got a partner that's actually going into liquidation or receivership. And it's actually, how do you manage that? How do you manage that within the confines of the business? The fact that you may have to provide a debt provision, which is not satisfactory on any circumstance. So I think for me, it's not the big things that have occurred, it's the everyday achievements and the challenges that
Mm.
I feel are the ones that are more prevalent and relevant at the moment.
Mm.
Laura, I don't know if that's the kind of same for you.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And I think I've not been in credit as long as what you have, Dee, but even when I
Mm,
started, it was kind of at the back end of coming out of like the recession. So the landscape has changed so much. And I think
huge.
now, particularly like coming into it, um, yeah, it is becoming a challenge. And it's like, oh, things are happening that probably we haven't dealt with before. And it's like, okay, this is different. What is it that we need to do? And I think kind of coming out of it and still delivering for us, our clients, and the businesses that we
Mm,
look after as well. The recognition that we get. We've just been through our half year end in June, and actually, what, we've still delivered good results, even though customers are holding on to their cash a little bit longer and cash flow is a bit
agreed.
more restricted. So
Yes.
yeah, I think probably more like a big event for me at the moment. But yeah, I feel like it's similar to what Dee had said.
Mm.
So the everyday occurrence, and this you just coming on to the back of what you just said, Laura, is the fact that people are requiring more and more assistance on a daily basis. It's not like they're coming to us every quarter with a big challenge. And I think for us at the moment, what we're seeing is such a huge slide towards a requirement to support terms of an account. And this comes back to the question of
Yeah.
cash flow. So this is, Tom, kind of where I'm coming to you in a sense. It's not the big things at the moment, it's the
Yeah.
everyday things that really present the greater challenge, and the requirement for our partners to feel that they're not going to be maligned for reaching out for help,
Mm.
I think, is the greater challenge for me on it every day, because I want to be able to help them and not provide them with a problem rather than a solution. And and Laura and I need to every day, again, this is the adaptability. We can't treat two customers alike. That would be grossly unfair. It'd be like comparing Laura and I like for like, and you can't do that.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that you make that person feel as though they're important, that they're individual, and their need is independent to them, and it's not the same as everybody else. So we have to be very quick, like this all the
Yeah.
time. But I don't think I'd be doing it if I didn't think we could do it. So, and
No,
Laura,
and I think that's what makes it fun as well. It's
yes,
like, because you
yeah,
are quick on your feet thinking, right,
yes,
okay, I need to be adaptable to this. What's the
yes,
solution? Or,
Mm.
what other things could we think of that we've not thought of before to try and help the
yes,
customers, and obviously then
yes,
trying to get what we need then as a business too. So yeah, I think for me, it's understanding as well like how important credit control is to a business, because I feel, and maybe since COVID and like the need for kind of cash flow, and when everything stopped, it kind of almost highlighted, actually, do you know what, that we were the department that was still working all the way through the lockdowns, and that they were still coming to say, can you help with the cash? So yeah, it's vital to a business. And I think having a career in credit and collections, it's rewarding but it's challenging at the same time. And it is so much more, like I said before, about it's so much more than just debt collection now. So I think if you enjoy interacting with people and you've got the tenacity and drive, then you can build a career in credit. And I think it's nice how you put that, to try and put it as like it's the career option that you didn't consider, because
yes,
if I would know now what I know about credit control, and if I would have had the choice, it probably would have been something that I would have gone into
Mm.
from leaving school. But I think it's almost, I don't know, if you wanted to do finance, they kind of go down the finance routes, but maybe you want something that's a little bit of both. So you've got like finance, you've got the customer service side, all of that kind of like built in. It's a really nice varied role itself. So yeah, I don't know, in terms of advice, like it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think until you kind of like
yes,
just go into it
Yeah.
with an open mind and think about,
absolutely,
potentially. But for
yes.
me, it's done really well. Like I've been able to work my way up, and I think, I can see it now as it's something that I do enjoy. I generally come into work and I do love my job and I love what I do, and having that variety, I think, is what helps to keep me interested in the role too. So yeah.
So for me, just kind of like what you're saying, Laura, what I would like maybe from when I was leaving school that probably would have actually got my interest quicker. And I think now in school, there's a greater education on financial responsibility. And you see a lot more adverts, with the credit cards, children learning how to look after their money and their
Yeah.
savings and that sort of thing. And I think that to me is like a stepping stone for people to understand that money has such a wider genre about what actually happens. And I think in the days when I was younger, you only think about finance by way of accountants and FDs. You don't think about the wider audience that's kind of actually there. But I think for me, anyone coming into the credit environment now needs to understand just how creative and how varied it actually is. It's a wonderful foundation of knowledge, and it can just be such a stepping stone for a specialist role. So if you wanted to say, litigation or global debt recovery or export, or it has such an ability to mutate itself to go on to so many things. So I think really, if you're trying to, it starts very much at the education level now for people to understand, the finance responsibility you have as you get older. But what does finance actually mean? What does it look like? How can you get into it? And like Laura, yes, we both kind of fell into it by kind of default. But if we was probably more aware of it at an earlier date, we probably would have gone for it because of what it did. It's a natural gravitational pull because I think we're both nosy, we're quite inquisitive, we like solving problems, we love dealing with people. And I think if you are that leaning, then you're going to find the interest of credit just quite phenomenal, because it isn't just, I don't want people to be marginalized by, it's this kind of, it has the opportunity to present a career for you, and that could be leading. So like you, Laura, you might decide at a later date, I want to go and do my ACCA. I want to then become a management accountant or an FD. It has so many opportunities. So I think leavers now at school need to take responsibility of finance, understand it. And by doing so, they can actually understand the wider audience of probably what the career can actually bring them.
So with us being a shared service centre, we can sometimes feel like we are a little bit removed from like the day-to-day business operations. So the reasons for kind of bringing the meetings, it was twofold. I was actually coming back to work from maternity leave into my credit control manager role, and then also kind of gave me the opportunity to get closer to the clients and the customers, being the FDs, to try and build that relationship, but also then into that kind of like that new role that I was coming back into the business with. So in terms of obviously kind of what we got out of the meetings, I think by listening to them really and just really understanding what was happening in their businesses, the challenges that they were perhaps like they'd set some objectives and some goals that they wanted to work towards as a business. That kind of information, it just allowed me to take that back into the business and then feed it back into our teams, into our department. So for them, it kind of gives them a bit of purpose. So actually, do you know what, we can see that bigger picture, because I think that's, you do need a sense of purpose when you're at work, and when you know that you kind of like fit into that wheel of operations as well, it really does help to kind of think, oh yeah, actually, you know what, I am making a difference, or by doing this is the impact that it has and how it's helping people to drive them forwards. And so we take some of those the kind of like the goals and the things that they were working towards, and just link our department objectives into them really, and then we obviously help them to support the businesses further. So yeah, I think really kind of key about the communication piece with that. That was the big kind of thing that we got out of it.
To probably 30 years ago, women were not as visible in what I call career as they are now. And then you have the like CRN events, which are talking about women in credit. You have the Channel Awards for women in credit, or women actually in industry, I think, as a whole. And I think it has been a hard slog for women to actually really be shown that they are more than trustworthy, more than capable, and can actually run a business. And I think recently you'll find, certainly in the CRN media, because I get that on a daily basis, there are more and more women heading up large corporate companies now and really making a stake in the ground to say, I don't deserve to be here. I've earned my way to be here because I had the ability, I had the capability to do this, and I will be here. Oh, God, in a
Like we've only
male-dominated
just
environment.
arrived.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, exactly. We've always been omnipresent. We've always been there in the background. But I think it's only been in the last 25 to 30 years, I think women have gone and said, can you stop putting me in the back office? I am more than capable of being here, and I deserve to be here, and I will be here. And I don't really care what you think, because I'm going to do it anyway. I don't want it to make it sound like, as I said, we've just arrived. We've been there for a long time. We've just become visible.
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, like when I read through this, I was thinking, so I'm part of the women's internal network within Sangoban, and last year we had a guest speaker on International Women's Day, and she was a lady that was in the RAF, and something that she said really resonated with me, and it was, you can't be what you can't see, and I think
Yes.
that's what's kind of pushing me to think, okay, I think that's why it's important for women to be represented within the career, within the industry, because I think then it's kind of showing up and coming women that are coming up, oh actually, do you know what, I can have a career. And like you've got like the heads of these big businesses that they
Mm.
work compressed hours as well, so you can do this job and you can have a family and a life outside of that as well. So yeah, for me, I think that was the one big thing that I thought is it's just being what you can be, what you can see. I think in terms of my confidence, because something else that resonates is like the whole imposter syndrome, and I don't know if it's because I started off as a hairdresser and it was something different, and I only did my GCSEs. That's as far as my like secondary education went to. So they're kind of coming into the industry and thinking, right, okay, I'm going to do it, and did my level 3 qualification and thought, right, okay, yeah, I'll do my level 5, and I don't know whether it's always like I'm looking for that thing in myself to think, I am as good as what I think I am. So I think in terms of the award, yeah, for me to be recognised for that, my peers in the industry, it's just been a massive boost for my self-confidence. And then taking my promotion this year within work as well to head of the department as well. I think it's all, yeah, it's just been a really good year.
For me, Laura, I am incredibly proud to share this platform with you. Congratulations on your award this year. It was very well deserved. I'm expected to
Thank
see
you.
some quite fabulous things from you, my darling, because you're certainly on the just on the start of your career, whereas I'm very much heading towards retirement, she says. And whilst it's been a fantastic ride, I think the change in credit, certainly in the last 10 years, you are going to maximize that potential as you go forward. So do go out and show what we're actually made of, and do that, do us proud, for want of a better word. um, for me, when I won the award, one, it was genuine surprise, because I do my job not for recognition, is because I believe so fundamentally in my job. But for me, for my director who took the chance and employed me, it was my validation to him to say, thank you for letting me do my job and showing you that there are some things you may have disagreed with me on, but it was only with best interest and intent to make things better, to improve, to challenge the business, always to challenge. So for me, it was just that, to say thank you to him for just letting me do something and trusting me to do it. So there's it's kind of your questions, two things, I think, Tom. You're
Mm.
talking about, what's up and coming actually within the credit environment right now, and
Yeah,
what should we be considering. So
absolutely.
two things. I think at the moment there is such a strong lead of a lot of automation and technology changes in what we're actually doing at the present moment. I think
Mm.
I'm very, very aware there's a lot of AI, certainly from the automation from a risk management perspective, giving you your own critique and risk analysis and risk scoring, that kind of stuff. So it does actually have its place, particularly so like for you, Laura, where you've got a shared service, your audience is huge. So the possibility to automate part of it to actually make life a little bit easier, so it actually allows you to do volume, to allow you to concentrate on the smaller part that needs that direct interaction, one-to-one resolution. So I think don't be blindsided by it, but use it for the intention it was actually there for, and make sure you maximize it. But outside of all of that, I think what you mustn't do is hide behind it and forget to have that contact, that face to face, that
Yeah.
Mm.
interpersonal skills. So it's double-sided. You've got
Mm.
technology and automation and AI and all sorts of lovely things to help us, but at the same time, don't forget, you and I do like to talk to people. We like to have that physical presence. We like to be able to feel that we could talk to someone who will enable us to get to a destination and a resolution. So it's there, but it can harmonize and work side by side. So I think that's kind of
Mm.
where I'm coming from.
I think similarly, we're going through a project at the minute actually just to start with automation. So it
Okay,
is something that we're kind of like looking at, and data I think is obviously the big thing. I know everyone keeps saying like big
sure.
data, but I think there's just so much out there that I think will really help us. And then also then to provide that information back into the businesses. Because
Agreed.
for us at the moment, it's very manual, the process that we use. We're very we love an Excel spreadsheet. So yeah, I think kind of being able to have that kind of like the data and the tools and the analytics at your fingertips to be able to put that
Yes,
back. I think that's where we're going to
yes,
kind of value add back into the businesses again. So it's just that kind of what else can we offer to them to help them. No, I was just going to say in terms of the other things to focus on, I think it's just really kind of what's happening on the horizon with economy, and obviously for us within the
yes,
construction industry, and we're kind of anticipating it's those big ones that you just don't see coming, that I think will
yes.
be the ones that will take us now. That
Agreed.
big,
Agreed.
they've been talking about the tsunami for a while, but yeah, I think it's starting to turn a little bit. So it's a different kind of credit environment to
Oh,
kind of get to
massively.
grips with.
It is. So your data, like your collating, will actually enable you to hone in on where your areas should be more invested. So I think this is like we're actually saying, Tom, is as a credit manager, you need to try and have data to actually to take care of the volume, to allow you
Mhm.
to hone in on the levels where it needs that more direct one-to-one, to make sure you don't miss a beat, because it's always in the back of your mind, what if something falls over, what is it I missed, did I not see this coming? Whereas data does help you, but you've got to
Mm.
be careful data doesn't take over from doing the thinking for you. And data for me has been really, really important, and I think that's why it's enabled me to do my job so far, because my job has trebled in the 5 years I've been there, but it's still just the two of us doing the role in
Mm.
in our business. And so we use data extensively, but we've created internally into the business through programs that we've asked to be written for us and reporting that we then collate. We're not on the level where you are, Laura, that you need the automation, but I expect that's going to be coming soon. So yeah, I wish you good luck with that one, but you'll reap the rewards. You really will. Absolutely.